Hello, fellow beings of light, and welcome to episode 8 of the Your Goddess Awakening podcast. This is part 4 in a 12-part series entitled 6 Degrees of Soul Separation. As in, we are all 6 degrees away from ascending to or expanding into our highest light body. Throughout this series, we are delving into my own personal journey to accessing, healing, and merging the 6 soul aspects of my own. So far, we have worked our way through 2 soul aspects, a guide to the first wave to incarnate on Earth, and a Native American, let's call her part teacher, part historian, part diplomat, that likes to appear out of time order when it comes to my soul aspects. This week, we are getting back into order and into my second soul aspect to incarnate on Earth. Ella. A-E-L-L-A. Are you guys catching the pattern yet with these names? I'm spelling them out for a reason. If not, I'm not going to tell you yet. That'll come later. Now, Ella also happens to be the first of my soul aspects to incarnate fully from birth into a physical body as a blank slate with no remembrance of who or what she was or what her abilities were. And if you remember from the last part, I dropped a little hint about her at the end of it. Remember what it was? Think Wonder Woman. I'm going to get into what I meant by that a bit later, but before that, I'm going to throw in a second hint because Ella has been popping up quite a bit when it comes to other work I've been doing and a crazy amount of downloads I've been receiving over the last week or two. After that, that 6 weeks of kind of downtime when I was sick back to back and I was being forced to take a break. And where I think a lot of calibration and preparation for all this stuff that is coming through now was happening. And that hint, that second hint, it is Avatar, The Last Airbender. I want you to keep both of those hints in mind as we get into what I know about her and what I am beginning to uncover when it comes to her abilities or ability. I think they will be important reference points in understanding what is to come. Now, I'm not sure if any of you are picking up on it through this recording, but my energy field is and has been buzzing with confidence, with fearlessness, and with something else I can't quite place since she started connecting with it on a deeper level over the last week. Or maybe it's me connecting with hers. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I had already had an opinion of her as kind of a badass, a warrior, but she has risen to all new levels of badassery in my mind now that I'm uncovering more and more about her. Like she is alongside my inner child, my hero now. Like she's what I want to be when I grow up kind of thing. And oh boy, I think I'm being called to bring these sensations and this opinion up now because my team are essentially calling me out for thinking about how much I wish I could be like her, for seeing and thinking about myself as separate from her, even though we are one. Not just in the we are all connected sense, but in that her and I are aspects of the same light body. She is me and I am her. That's something I'm still struggling with, something we all struggle with to some extent. When we are raising our awareness, our consciousness, it is easy to overcome the acknowledge and accept we are learning or receiving hurdles, but difficult to apply it, to feel it, which doesn't seem like the right word to use, but it's the one that always comes through, to feel it on a consistent basis and then all the time. It takes time and practice to do that part. I'm kind of thinking to weave it into our energy field, to make it a part of our energy, might be a better way of putting it. But I'll leave that thought for right now because it will make more sense as we move forward, I think. Using this specific situation as an example, I have reached a level of awareness, of consciousness, where I can easily acknowledge and accept my connection to my soul aspects and my light body. I know they are one with me and that I am one with them. I know that I have access to all that they know and all of their abilities. But it is hard to overcome the last hurdle of separation, sort of disassociation, to not just know it, but to feel those things as mine, to recognize them as mine, to access and use them as mine, to weave them into and make them a part of my energy field. Up until a few months ago, I was struggling with that exact same hurdle when it came to my inner child, my younger self. For far too long, I saw her as separate from me. I felt guilt for the things that she went through. I felt like she, not me, deserved more. I wanted to do better for her, not me, to give her the life she always deserved to have instead of the one she got. Do you see the disassociation there? I could acknowledge and accept that what I went through as a child was wrong, that I deserved better, that I could give myself better now, that me and that child were one. But there was a narrative of trauma and abuse that was blocking me being able to apply those things to myself in the here and now. So I couldn't get past the level of applying them to her, to me in the past. It was a hurdle I had to cross when it came to myself, and now it is clearly a hurdle I am finding myself having to cross yet again when it comes to my soul aspects and all that they have to offer when it comes to my own journey to remembrance and reawakening, as well as my mission and my ability to aid others, their knowledge, their abilities, and likely more that I haven't even considered yet. Enough about that, though, because I get a feeling that one of the extra parts beyond my soul aspects in this series will be dealing with that separation, that disassociation. So we'll get to it when the timing is right. For now, it's just something more to add to our list of things to think about and our list of things to start to question. Let's get back to Ela. What follows is information that has been either shared with me through direct communication and interaction with her or those associated with her, or that has been received by me during visits to my Akashic records. Now, to get her beginning, we have to first cycle back to Arya's ending, to something specific that she shared with us during our time in the Akashic Records with her. I am the reason our abilities were forgotten in the aspects that followed in line after me until you. Myself, our highest light body, we had thought that we were helping them, protecting them, by making it harder for them to remember who and what they were, by making it harder for them to remember the vast knowledge and abilities they possess, by making them less different. Because of that choice, Ela was incarnated into her physical body with not only an agreement that blocked some of her knowledge and abilities, as was intended for all of us incarnating, but rather that blocked all of it. She was truly a blank slate, as Arya wanted her to be. But when it comes to that leading to the result she intended, to Ela being less different than those around her, less isolated because of it, let's just say that she both did and didn't get what she wished for. She did because Ela was born a blank slate with no knowledge or abilities that would make her different from those around her. And she was further born into a community where she would never be seen or feel different from those in it because they all possessed, shared the same primary ability. And she didn't get what she wished for because Isis once again intervened. She seems to have a habit of doing that. She inserted Ela into a community and life that would empower her, instill the confidence, strength, and resiliency that Arya and our highest light body, Leora, were lacking, despite them possessing those traits in equal measure. And more importantly, she inserted her into a community and life that would lead her to develop and use an immense ability far beyond the bounds of those that were originally denied to her through forgetting. This is where the Wonder Woman hint comes in. The community and life that Isis inserted her into was among the Amazons of ancient Greece, a society of females that was closed off to men, a society of female warriors. They were not immortal. They were not goddesses in terms of what that meant in that time period, although I would argue that they were very much so. They were women who were known to possess great strength and great skill in battle. The imagery and information regarding them and Ela that I have been receiving over the last week, however, it paints a slightly different picture of them, of what their skills were, of how they were so successful in battle. And this is where that Avatar Last Airbender hint comes in. What I have been receiving is a deep connection with energy beyond the earth level, beyond the bounds of Reiki and similar energy work in the present or on the earth level. A connection that's on a quantum, on a galactic, on a multidimensional level, on a level that both crosses and brings together past, present, and future into one. A connection that allows for it to be Manipulated is the term that keeps coming through, but I really don't care for that word because for me it applies doing something, uh, another word I don't like using, wrong. Doing something wrong. In fact, you know what? Let's stop for a second and consult a thesaurus. Let's find a different word to use because I don't want to use manipulated. Um, let's see. Control. Don't like that one either. Exploit. Yeah, definitely not. Um, influence. Maybe. I can see that. Wield. Shape. I like those two. You know what? Let's go with that. A connection that allows energy on all levels and dimensions to be influenced, wielded, and shaped to hmm, to what? Well, in terms of Ela and the Amazons, the imagery I have been getting is of the women not in physical battle, but rather standing in a circle around it, connecting with and influencing the energy of the space, the energy of those within it, and defeating their opponents in that way somehow. Much like those in the Avatar shows and films, influence and wield the elements. That is where that hint comes in. Because visually, if you can see the energy and that influence, that wielding and shaping of it, it's kind of similar. Why don't the poems and stories regarding the Amazons, if actually based on witness accounts, mention this? I believe it's because they were using energy to create the illusion of them physically fighting. What those in battle with them saw was them engaging in physical battle, not them on the sidelines. That's pretty cool. To me, cooler than a group of women consistently beating groups of men in physical battles. But that's just me. What else? Well, as I've been working through and continuing to expand upon my own calling, my own mission, my own abilities over the last week or so, what I've been receiving in connection with the abilities I just described isn't battle. The concept of telekinesis has come to mind, the ability to move physical things with your mind. But for me, it's coming through as the ability to access, shape, move, and expand energy, and likely do a lot more things with it, spanning time and dimensions and distances beyond Earth and beyond our present time. I'm receiving it as a way to fulfill my mission of gridding the channels, holding space at them, holding them open, stretching and weaving the energy there to expand some aspects of them, to allow specific types of communication to travel through them, to allow specific interactions with souls traveling through them, and allowing room for expansion from below to be shared with above for the benefit of all, for the expansion of all. Exciting stuff, especially when I have been struggling with what the heck gridding the channels was for months since receiving it as a mission. I am also receiving it, though, as a way to aid others in their journey, to be able to access through energy their past, present, and future across dimensions and timelines, to be able to aid them in remembering that which they have forgotten, to aid them in merging with their soul aspects and ultimately their light body, to aid them in raising their awareness, their consciousness level, to aid them in shifting timelines, or rather weaving a bridge between their present and a desired future, perhaps bringing parts of their past and other soul aspects in as part of doing so. To ultimately, I think, get past that last hurdle I talked about earlier, to not just know what we have accepted and acknowledged as true, our inner truths, our connection to all, and our other soul aspects, our access to knowledge and abilities, but to feel those things as ours, to recognize them as ours, to access and use them as ours, to weave them into, make them a part of our energy field. I said it would make sense later in the episode, and I don't know about you, but I kind of think it does. I can't really describe it better than that yet. It's new. So definitely a work in progress, but I'm feeling pretty confident that as I continue forward with not only my team regarding it, but with Ela as well, and kind of being nudged towards with Arya as well. And I'm not sure why, but it'll come. I will figure it out. And it's going to be awesome, I think. I'd choose being an airbender over Wonder Woman any day, so it will be awesome. Regardless of what those abilities are or how they are used, I think we can all understand why the Amazons would choose to be an isolated society. Obviously, to protect themselves and their abilities, but I think also to protect their own and their collective energy fields. I can't even imagine the level of mindfulness and more that they would have to be able to maintain, to be able to influence, wield, and shape energy, not only when it comes to themselves, but others and across time and dimensions like that. I'm sure Arya would likely take issue with it because part of her whole reason for making Ela forget was to keep her from feeling isolated and different. And Ela was most definitely isolated and different. But, when I connect with her energy field, I don't feel the usual thoughts and feelings we as humans would associate with those things, or that Arya and Leora felt when it comes to those things: loneliness, anxiety, judgment, and so on and so on. Instead, her energy is what has been buzzing through my own field this last week: confidence, fearlessness, and I think the message that she shared with me during my initial visit with her in the Akashic Records explains the difference. Oh boy. I'm also realizing, coming back to it after months of working on producing content for all of you that it is connected, that the timing is interesting for Ela being discussed, for her coming back into my field. And I hadn't even realized that. That difference, Ela and the Amazons lacked the attachments we get hung up on, the outcomes and expectations, the straight line, linear living we get hung up on. You know, everything we have literally been discussing all month long. In her own words, channeled through automatic writing during that visit to my Akashic records, you are getting too caught up in the moment, in the details, in trying to figure things out. You are losing your sense of adventure, joy in the new and the unknown that you once had. Find the balance, the middle ground. This is not an either or game or life. It is all, everything. Whatever, whoever, whenever, wherever, however you need it in any given moment. You are still holding on to the wrong bits and pieces of control. Hold on to your control over your choice, but let go truly, fully when it comes to all else. Surrender to the flow of the wind and the waves, but don't get caught up in them. Don't get inside of your head and float. Don't get inside of your head and drown. Go with the flow. Find balance in the in-between. I am not telling you to stop climbing the mountains you have chosen for yourself, but rather to enjoy the climb as you do. Do it for the adventure, for the new, for the unknown, and not for the peak you believe that you need to reach. It is not about that. The peak is unimportant because there will always be new mountains to climb. And rather than new peaks to reach, it should be new adventures to be had. If these words or ideas are seeming familiar to you, yeah, it's because I've been dropping them left and right in our regular podcast episodes and activations lately. How I missed the connection to Ela, how I forgot this message that she gave me, these words. I don't know, or maybe I didn't, because clearly she influenced me. I think I'd happily be influenced by her, though, because she lived and breathed this message, as we all should. Her name actually matches an Amazon from history, from mythology, if you want. Coincidence of her choosing that name for her soul aspect or not, the name and the story fit her. The name Ela means whirlwind, but she wasn't impulsive. Historically, she was seen as a blend of divine conflict and serenity, embodying both creation and destruction, combat and diplomacy, due in part, likely, to her father being Ares, the god of war, who ironically or not, is one of my primary guides, and Harmonia, the goddess of harmony and agreement. Those extremes she mentioned flirting with, going with the flow of the wind and waves, but finding balance between them, going with the flow of the in-between. It fits, and it is a state we should all be influenced by. It is the epitome of what we are meant to get out of our human experience here, to experience and learn to appreciate the pure light and love that we are inherently, as well as the contrast, the opposite of those things and everything in between. To not get too caught up in one or the other, but to find a middle ground between them with which to create infinitely and to expand infinitely. I've built Ela up a lot thus far, and she deserves to be, but she didn't escape her time on Earth without adding to the wound of guilt and shame of our highest light body and fellow soul aspects, or without adding to the list of things my other soul aspects chose to forget. I'm not sure what the latter would be. Perhaps we will uncover it within the Akashic Records shortly. You know what? I'm actually going to make a note to ask that because I'm curious. But I do know her contribution to our guilt and shame wound. We will dive into it in greater detail when we reach the healing part of this series. For now, though, all that is important is that Ela felt that despite her great strength and abilities and confidence, she still failed. She didn't fulfill her purpose. It should probably go without saying at this point. She was never intended to, so she has nothing to feel guilt or shame about. She had a role to play in the mission and purpose of all of our soul aspects as one, of our highest light body, and she fulfilled hers. She added an awesome ability to the mix that is going to help me to play my role in it. I'm happy about that, proud of it. So she should be too. With that said, I think it's time for our dive into the Akashic Records for the purpose of connecting with Ela and seeing what more we can learn about her, or what more she might have to share with me or all of us at this moment in time. Some reminders. I am going to walk all of us into the records together. There may be pauses as things are accessed. There may be light language, and honestly, there is a chance that someone or something different may come through for you in the moments of silence and receiving, or even in the moments I am sharing with you. Whatever comes through, for me or for you or for all of us as one, merely be open to receiving it, to taking in and considering what resonates, and to letting go of what does not. Settle into a comfortable position, either sitting or laying down, with your hands facing palms up on your lap or at your side, and begin breathing slowly and deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. Good. Now close your eyes and focus on your breathing, letting go of any thoughts or emotions that may be floating around in your mind. I want you to take 3 more slow and deep breaths together with me. And as we do, with each inhale, I want you to think to yourself, focus on opening to receive. And with each exhale, focus on letting go of distractions. Focus on opening to receive. Focus on letting go of distractions. Focus on opening to receive. Focus on letting go of distractions. Focus on opening to receive. Focus on letting go of distractions. As you continue breathing, I'm going to take a moment to connect in with your energy field and with my Akashic records. Good. Now, I want you to open your mind's eye and see yourself standing with me before a massive tree. And the more that you focus on it, you start to see lights hanging from the branches and windows and a large door directly in front of us at the top of a few wooden stairs. Once again, this is how my Akashic Records comes to me, as a tree of wisdom, as a tree of knowledge. Feel me taking your hand gently and slowly beginning to lead you up to the tree, up the stairs. 1, 2, 3, and to the now open door, where we see not one, but 2 guides. One is my guide in many things, including my Akashic Records, Hermes. He stands to one side of the door, and to the other side is another guide. This is your guide, either to your own Akashic Records or to your inner truth. I have 2 guides that enter my records with me, Hermes and my truth and water guide, known to me as Hades. If you are unable to see a guide of your own, feel free to connect with him. I ask that he come closer to connect with anyone listening who might need his assistance. Both guides hold the doors open for us, allowing us to step through and into the main hall, a circular room with books and the occasional doorway surrounding its walls. And as they help us step down into a cozy sitting area with a fire pit, a desk, and some seating, you might be sensing or seeing what I am. Something new within my records. There are dragons red and pink, maybe even a bit of gold. Dragons circling around the outer edges, but not quite dragons. I don't know what it is with me and hybrid type dragons, but it seems to happen a lot. First, half bird, half dragon creatures in the void with the Morgan, and now this. Half dragon, half snake. No wings, but also oddly 3 snake bodies coming from the dragon heads, which all of them I am sensing are connected to Kuan Yin, which makes sense with what has been coming through for my channel gridding mission, and I think for what has been coming through for Ela's abilities. I am being told I'm drawing too much attention to them, that it's not necessary for what we are here to do, that they are merely here for support, not as the main attraction. Okay then. I take your hand once again, and I lead you over to a daybed covered in warm blankets and pillows, inviting you to sit beside me. From this moment forward, you will be a casual observer of what unfolds next, and a potential receiver of anything that comes through or forward that is meant for you. I call forth the records of my highest soul aspects. Again, these particular records appear to me as a floating glass box of books, each a different color, and each containing a unique piece of our light code, a portion of our collective blueprint. Today, I call forth the records of Ela, containing her unique piece of our light code. And adding to the list of odd and new, her book and light codes has changed colors. It was once, from the beginning, it was a light or grayish blue. It is now red. Interesting. Ela, please come forward and share with me, with us, that which you think will aid in my or our journey most at this moment in time, or in the months and years to come. Our dragon snake friends are here, and they are weaving a space or something for us. They are They are taking us backwards in time. Okay. They are taking us not just to a visual of Ela and the Amazons on the battlefield, like I've received before, a clip or an image, but rather into that moment into Ela during those moments, during this particular battle. Those of you who are sensitive to receiving or that have developed your clairsenses, you might be able to see what I'm seeing, the battle through her eyes. And actually, I'm being called upon to stretch, to hold open the energy of all of your abilities, to allow you to do so. Those who have sensitive or developed senses, as well as those that do not. Okay, this is something new to me, but I'm gonna try it. And I'm gonna go ahead and try to describe some of what is coming through as well, what I'm seeing, in case anyone is still struggling to see, or if I'm not doing enough of whatever this is that I am being called to do. Let me try I'm gonna try to connect into your energy field as we would do with activations. And through that, try to connect into the energy of your abilities to see beyond the earth plane and dimension, to see beyond earth time. If you are open to me doing so, go ahead and say yes, either out loud or in your mind's eye. Okay, good. Let's do this. I wish to connect with the energy field of those that are listening whenever they are listening. And I wish to connect further, to connect with their abilities to see and sense beyond the current dimension, beyond the current time, beyond the earth realm. I wish to expand, to stretch their ability to do so that they might see what I see, so that they might sense what I sense, so that they might see and sense through the eyes of Ela in this space that has been woven for us by our friends. Arash, arash, arash. Okay. We are seeing a battlefield. Ourselves, Ela, and our sisters surrounding it. Their arms are out, but they aren't holding hands. Rather, their palms are open and facing the battlefield. And there's a golden light flowing from them, both moving in a circle around them and filling the space of the battlefield. The men on it, they can't see it. They can't see the circle or the light, the energy. They are seeing the illusion of the women battling them. An illusion created by that golden light, by the energy being channeled inwards by the sisters. But there is something in between the circle of light and these illusions. Something happening that it feels like it's taking time to work, to access and begin what looks like weaving, creating the actions being channeled through the illusions, but at the same time not taking any time at all, because the effects on the battlefield are instantaneous. That's something that's happening. I call that to come closer to us. I call it slow down so that we can witness it in the time that it is taking instead of in the time that is passing on the battlefield. I can see the past and the present being accessed within it. The past and the present of the men on the battlefield. Their present thoughts and emotions, the energy of them, their past experiences in battle, and past experiences with these thoughts and emotions on the battlefield and beyond it. I can see the future being accessed as well. A series of probabilities playing out. Potential outcomes of the battle playing out. That which was accessed from the past and the present being used to fuel them, to affect them, the outcome. And I can see the sisters and us communicating through our minds, through our connection with this energy, these access points, and creating a strategy, maybe even a blueprint, selecting a probability of an outcome of the battle and for the individual men taking part in it, as well as for themselves individually, because I think whatever plays out through these illusions, through this energy, because I think whatever plays out through these illusions, through this energy, plays out on themselves, on their physical bodies as well. They are sisters, Ela. They can be hurt. They can be killed by what takes place through this energy. I don't know if that's just for show, so the men aren't left scratching their heads at how the women have no marks or signs of battle after, or if that's how this all actually works. Kind of like you can't make changes in the past without impacting the future kind of things. You can't make changes in the energy of an experience or moment in time without impacting your physical self as well. And when they've collectively made a decision, selected a future probability, what I'm seeing, I can almost see it being woven into the energy, into the light, flowing from the sisters into those illusions of them, shaping what those illusions do and what is seen by those in the battlefield and beyond it. And somehow it's jumping forward in the battle. There is once again something happening, taking time, but at the same time happening instantaneously. The women, the sisters, us, almost teleporting from our positions around the circle into the positions of the illusions and into their condition at the close of the battle. It's like becoming one with them, or maybe catching up in time with them, jumping forward in time to that point. It's like what we are seeing, what everyone in that moment was seeing was actually a replay, but not really a replay because it happened in the same moment. It happened instantaneously. I don't really know how to describe it more than that, and it looks like we aren't going to be allowed to stay and see more, which I think I might be kind of glad of, because the sensation in my hands of holding this space for this information to come through, for you to be able to see it and sense it. It is on a whole nother level from what I feel in my hands when I'm doing Reiki. It is something. So we are, it appears, leaving this space, and I'm closing back that holding open that I was doing, because our dragon, our snake friends are once again moving us in reverse. I think they're going in the opposite direction they were when this started, bringing us back to the present moment. Sorry, friends, but not so fast. Because before we leave this record, we're not done here. I want to attempt to call Ela closer or into this moment to join us, instead of seeing her or seeing through her in the past. Because I haven't forgotten that we have a question for her, that I have a question for her. So let's try this again. If I can get my hand to stop tickling. Ela, I ask you to come forward, to come closer, to join us, and to share with us what you chose to have the aspects that follow you forget, and why, if you are able to do so. Was it this ability that you possessed? Because I don't remember sensing it in those that came after you in time. I don't. So if it's that, why would you want them to forget that? Come closer. Come on. I can sense you. I can feel you. I know you're there. Don't be shy. You are the most confident of all of us. So come on. It wasn't enough. Knowing it, possessing it, wasn't enough to fulfill my purpose, our purpose. It was always you that needed knowledge of it, needed access to it, that had the ability to use it to fulfill our purpose. I chose to make them forget, to deny them knowledge and access to it. I chose this because Arya was right in some respects. It would have isolated them. It would have made them far different than those around them. But they would not have had the sisterhood that I had as a community. And for it is an ability, a level of it that not many can possess, or not many should possess. And my own addition to the concern, to the fear, it would have kept them from developing their own abilities, their own knowledge, their own role in what we collectively have to share with you. For that same reason, it was delayed, kept from your remembrance until now, until you were ready to know it, to be able to access it, to be able to use it in a way that would expand and not hinder or limit you. It was a difficult choice. Forgetting oneself always is, but it was a necessary choice. I felt it was necessary. We felt it was necessary. It is one I am proud to have made, that I feel no guilt at having made. Maybe once, but not now. Not now. Because of that which I have been learning from you as you have expanded. Okay, I think she's done. Which means our time in the Akashic Records has come to a close. I'm going to have you close your mind's eye again and return to a pace of slow and deep breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth, as I carefully put Hila's record away, as I lead us out of the tree, back down those stairs. 3, 2, 1. And gradually, as we walk down the path away from it, return us to our current surroundings. As I do so, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes a bit. And when you are ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Thank you for joining me today for the journey into my Akashic Records and for this episode. I hope that you were able to get something from the information shared and the imagery, the experience we received. I think I did, but I'm still not entirely sure what to think of it or what to do with it. I'm going to be patient, though, something I'm not always good at, because I know that it has been unfolding for me naturally over the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to trust that it is going to continue to do so as I move forward with the projects and the content that is to come in the coming weeks. And before I close this episode, I am being guided to have you reflect upon the possibility that there are some things better forgotten, agreements to forget better left in place until they unfold, until they disclose themselves naturally. A call to not rush into remembrance and reawakening, but rather to do as Hila guides, to go with the flow instead of focusing on the outcome, to enjoy the journey, the climb, instead of focusing on the outcome. I like it. I think I needed that as much as many, if not all of you do as well. Okay, join us for next Monday's episode, which will cover a discussion of our second C, reconnecting with our chaperones, as in our guides, and then again on February 10th for part 5 of this series, which will be a bit of a summary of the work that we have done so far. A dive into the records to receive answers to some questions I assume will come to me in the moment or in the time leading up to it, and whatever else that might come through at this stage in my journey and in our adventure along it together. Arish kumukati.